Dear burnt out, overwhelmed, overworked entrepreneurs, I feel you. I feel all of you. If you're new here, I'm Jen, single mom, artist, and entrepreneur, and this channel is all about building a life that you love and doing it all on your own. So, I have been completely MIA for the last 6 weeks or so. Where have I been? Trying to keep my head above water. I have been treading water like my life depends on it. And I did this to myself. Oh yes, I did. I did this to myself. I scheduled 12 markets for my stained glass business in a 3-month period. Now that may not sound like a lot, but I promise you, when you pair it with a regular day job, another small business, and 2 active teenagers, it is a whole lot. Add to that stained glass is not exactly the fastest art to create, so I'm devoting a fair amount of hours to keeping my stock up for those markets. So you put all that together and you get a very full schedule with very little downtime. This has manifested into me completely disappearing from my YouTube channel for nearly the last 2 months. I apologize for that, but the truth is sometimes we go through a cycle in life where all you can do is triage. You have to do the most necessary things first, and the rest of it just gets shoved on the back burner until hopefully you can get around to it later. Unfortunately, YouTube was that thing that got shoved onto the back burner this time around. So here we are. I feel like we need to talk about burnout and overwhelm. Now I know I've talked about it before, and I've talked about it as far as strategies to keep from being burnt out and overwhelmed, right? But this time around I want to talk about the cycle and kind of how it starts and how you get where you are and how to get back out of it. So let's get to it. Being burnt out and overwhelmed is going to happen. That's just simply a part of the world that we live in. So how do we function? Usually the first step is to recognize the signs of burnout. Constant exhaustion, feelings of overwhelm, lack of motivation, and feeling really drained are all signs of burnout. It is important to recognize these signs early so that you can do something about it. Now, I failed at this step miserably. I saw that train bearing down the tracks at me, and I just pretended it wasn't there. I ignored all of my instincts, and I just kept going. Don't be me. Don't be me. When you see that burnout pummeling down those tracks at you, the best thing you can do for yourself is to prioritize self-care. Now, self-care is not taking a shower, okay? That's not self-care. That is a daily hygiene habit that all humans need, okay? A shower is not self-care. A shower is necessary. Self-care includes things like prioritizing your sleep, getting your exercise, taking care of your physical needs. Also, taking care of your emotional needs, such as managing your stress, taking breaks from work, making sure that your mental status is still in check and healthy. Now, I did none of those things. I'm a terrible sleeper generally anyway. Sleep is just a thing that I've always struggled with, and the older I get, the worse it gets. The more exhausted and overwhelmed I get, the more burnt out I get, the worse it gets. So that's something that I struggle with anyway. I usually get at least a once-a-month massage because it helps me with my sleep. It also helps my body feel more relaxed, and it helps me feel more connected to my physical body than when I don't get a massage monthly. That's another thing that I haven't been doing because for some reason I let myself get kind of thrown off of my schedule, and I never made a priority of getting back on that schedule. Not keeping up with my monthly massages did not help me in this case. It did me a very, very big disservice. And as far as taking breaks from working, well, I didn't really feel like that I could. Stained glass is not quick. It is a time-consuming art form, and in order to keep my stock up for my markets, I felt like I had to keep creating. That's just one of the pitfalls of the particular kind of art that I have chosen for myself. I love it, and there are things about it that nourish my soul, but even the things that you love feel like work when you're stressed out. So I pressed on. Again, don't be like me. I did all the wrong things. You should also set boundaries, like setting work hours and sticking to them so that you keep a level of work-life balance. Work-life balance is something that has not existed for me in the last 3 months. You also need to say no to projects that you know you can't take on. Now, this is also a thing that I struggle with. I am very good about setting boundaries in general, but when it comes to turning down things that I don't have time for, can't make time for, don't want to do, but feel obligated to, I am not good about that. I have a tendency to take on projects that I shouldn't take on when I know I really just don't have the time or the desire, honestly, to do them. Saying no to extra projects is probably my weakest link in life. But you should say no when you need to say no. Now, you should also seek support from a counselor, from friends, from coworkers, whoever you need to seek support from. Now, this is one thing that I do really, really well. I have an amazing group of friends who are incredibly supportive, who I can call at any time and say, hey, I just need to talk this through. Hey, I'm really stressed out. Hey, can I get this off my chest? That's never a problem. I also do see a counselor once a month because I feel like that's important for my mental health. So it's something that I make sure that I do. It goes on the calendar every month. She makes me schedule, so it keeps me on track. So this is the one area that I feel like in the last 2 months I have not failed myself at. So, okay, I get a star for this one, right? 1 star? Okay, I'm giving myself 1 star. So when you start to feel really, really overwhelmed, the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is find ways to relax. Hobbies that you enjoy, meditation, yoga, or whatever activity you enjoy doing that helps to relieve stress for you. Now, I used to be really good about meditating every single day, even just 10 minutes. It is amazing to me how much 10 minutes of clearing your mind can just really put a stop to that level of overwhelm. It can just quiet down all that noise in your head and really make a big difference. But have I been doing that? No, I have not. Why? I don't know. I think what happens is once I hit a certain level of overwhelm, I just completely shut down and forget about all the strategies that I would normally use to help myself feel better and de-stress. And that's not okay. That's why I make videos like this, because not only does it help remind other people maybe that need to hear this, but it helps remind me there are things that I can do to help myself to be less overwhelmed, to be less stressed out. All I have to do is choose to do them. The last thing you can do is consider making a change. If it's a job that you go to every day and the stress levels are so much so that you just can't function anymore, maybe it's time to change. Maybe it's time to change jobs. If it's your business that you're running, maybe it's time to find a way to delegate some more tasks so that there's less on your plate. Maybe it's time to narrow the focus of your business so that you can gain a little more clarity and therefore have a little bit less of a feeling of overwhelm. So sometimes burnout means it's time to make a change. Sometimes it means it's time to make a hard decision. Now, in my case, I have my last market the weekend before Thanksgiving. I'm not doing any markets in the month of December. In fact, December, I'm not really going to be working my stained glass business at all, other than to fill any online orders that I get before Christmas. So there is a planned break, which I did on purpose, and it's only 2 weeks away. So I think the only reason that I'm feeling less overwhelmed and burnt out right now is not because I used any of the coping strategies we talked about earlier. It is solely because I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I did make the effort to schedule a break knowing that there would be a point at which I had to slow down. Because I know that the end is near, it's given me the opportunity to kind of shift my focus and change my mindset a little bit and refocus on taking care of me. But if you haven't planned a break for yourself, then you have to find another way to refocus and get back out of that burnout and overwhelm kind of cycle that we end up in. Because the more overwhelmed we feel, the more likely we are to not use strategies to help us cope with it. As hard as it is, sometimes we have to put ourselves first. Putting yourself first is your life vest in troubled waters. If we give all of our care away to someone else and we have nothing left to give to ourselves, then we drown. Take care of yourselves. We've got this.